Okay, new poll numbers out just about an hour ago for the Republicans. Absolute disaster, which is music to my ears. But there's a weird part of it as it relates to Donald Trump. The Trump number is actually not disastrous, but it's leading to disastrous Republican numbers. So I'll explain all that in a second. There's a great number of polls out, including the latest one. I'll go through them as quickly as I can for you guys because I think it's super important to the midterm elections. By the way, don't forget, become a Young Turks member. Get all of our shows anytime you want at tyt.com/join. Okay, that's really important to support homo progressives. Thank you. Now, so the latest poll out shows that the generic advantage for Democrats in terms of the country saying we would like the Democrats to control the country rather than Republicans or control Congress has moved from 8 points, which was very high advantage. That means that's a blue wave coming. The Republicans are in a world of trouble. That's where it was, 8 points. To the new poll that just came out, 12 points. A 12-point advantage. That's a tsunami. Now, if the election were held today, man, the Republicans would be hosed. Not only would they lose the House, they'd lose it in an absolute epic mandate for the Democrats and a debacle for the Republicans. So 12 points is nearly unprecedented as a generic advantage for the Democrats for the whole country. So just giving you context on that. So it's big news. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys immediately. I'll get to the weird part in a second. Now, there's a series of other polls, and they connect to this one. And what has happened is almost exactly what I predicted. And I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so first, let's just take it one by one. Another poll out just about a day ago on Latinos. This is the least surprising of them all. Trump has a 26% approval rating among Latinos. Okay, so I'm surprised it's that high. 65% disapprove, but 50% strongly disapprove. So Latinos overall can't stand him. But what's interesting, and this relates to the weirdness in the new poll, Donald Trump's numbers are actually slightly higher than the Republican numbers. Isn't that weird? So the Latinos support Democrats controlling Congress by a 3-to-1 margin. And the Republican approval rating among Latinos is lower than the approval rating of Donald Trump among Latinos. That's just a little bit of a difference, but it is still strange. So, but overall, though, 3-to-1 advantage for the Democrats. Latinos didn't have to go to the Democrats. The Republicans just bungled this over the last 10, 20 years in a way that they've just absolutely thrown away that vote in this country. And so they've earned the rightful disdain of Latinos in this country as they continually demagogue against them. Okay, so that's, like I said, the least surprising part of the poll. Now, the main thing that the Republicans have lost is women. Working class women are gone. So Anna and I have been talking on the show a lot about, and I've been saying for 2 years straight now, at some point he's going to lose that mom in Kansas. If you watch the Young Turks all the time, by the way, live 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday at tyt.com/live. So if you watch it, you hear me talking about he's losing that Kansas mom. He's losing that Kansas mom. In fact, we just talked about it earlier in the week when CNN did a town hall with female Trump voters, okay? So it turns out I was right. The advantage that Democrats now have with women, it's not 10 points, which would be huge. It's not 15 points, which would be mammoth. It's not 20 points, which would be unprecedented. It is a 25-point advantage. The advantage that Republicans have among men is down to 3 points, just 3. The only demographic left in the country that supports Republicans more than Democrats is white men over the age of 45. That's it. That's what they're down to. They have lost every other group in the country. That is amazing. Amazing. Now, it's more amazing because overall Americans, rightly or wrongly, I happen to think wrongly for reasons, again, that we've gone over in the show, generally think that the economy is doing really well. It has 69% of Americans saying the economy is going in the right direction. So the fact that these numbers are this weak, despite that, is amazing, amazing. My God, if the economy falters at all in the next 45 days, it might be an election like we have never seen before. So, I mean, already right now, if it were held today, it would be probably an election we've never seen before. I made an outrageous prediction sometime back a couple of months ago saying the Democrats might take 250 seats in Congress. That's unthinkable. 218 is what they need for a majority. That would already be a huge win. 250 is ridiculous. But hold! I have a stat here to back that up, and then a quote. But before all that, I promise you the weird part of this poll. So the Wall Street Journal poll, Donald Trump is polling at 44%. Now, wait a minute, 44% is not a good number, right? Yeah, but it's way better than I would have expected, and other polls have him lower, and it's actually better than how the Republicans are doing overall. But the reason the Republicans are doing poorly is because they're backing Donald Trump, and that's in another part of the poll. But Trump's numbers overall are bad, but not disastrous. That's weird. That's really, really weird. It's partly because his base is so loyal to him that they will not move under any circumstance, but some portion of that base doesn't like the establishment Republicans. So that's an interesting lesson and one to grow on, and again goes towards the idea that populism works, which of course all of Washington rejects, and unfortunately a lot of the Democratic Party rejects, but they should get behind immediately. Populism works in the country, establishment does not. Okay, now let's get to the other things that I was promising you. Here is the most stunning fact of all. In districts that Republicans control, now those are districts, that's an on average, they should have a huge lead in, right? We're not talking about all the districts, just the ones that Republicans already control. They're down to only a 1-point lead in their own districts, on average for the whole country. Wow. Wow. No, look, guys, I've been covering politics for now 23 years. I've never seen anything like that. That means they're getting wiped out in their own homes. They've lost their home base. Woo! Tsunami. If I was the Republican Party right now, I'd be running towards the hills because you got to get away from the water. There's a giant wave about to crash on your head. Okay, again, it's this strange part of this poll. Trump's not in disastrous shape, but people are saying they're punishing the Republicans for being too close to Trump. So it's not that you got to get away from the water. You got to get away from Trump. Okay, 57% who identify as strong Trump supporters. Here's another big problem for them for a recent poll. Said that the Democrats don't have a chance to win. What? Why are they saying that? Well, Donald Trump's got them convinced that there's going to be a red wave, so they're not as likely to show up to vote. A wonderful, wonderful disaster befalling the Republicans. That's such a bad idea. It's almost Hillary Clinton-esque to tell people, hey, don't bother to come vote for me because I'm going to win anyway, or vote for our party. And that's what Trump's been telling them. And when the pollsters ask these Republican voters, they go, oh, they told us Hillary Clinton was going to win. Those polls are nonsense. Nah, I don't have to go vote. We're going to win anyway. Excellent. You keep thinking that way. This is those conspiracy theories coming back to bite them in the ass. This is the chickens coming home to roost. Great. Stay at home. Stay at home. See how that turns out for you. Trump says there's going to be a red wave. I'm sure there will. Look forward to that red wave. Okay, now, let me see if I have one last thing for you guys as I look through all these incredible polls. And by the way, I should be clear. The only demographic they have left is that is the white men over 45, but they still are winning those guys. No, by the way, let me be, correct myself here as I'm looking at the notes from this article. It's not white men over 45, it's all men over 45. But that category, the Republicans still hold a 15-point advantage. They're down to only 3-point advantage over with all men because they've lost young men completely, but for older men, they still have a significant advantage. You should know that. And so now let me get to my favorite quote here. It is from Bill McInturff, who is a GOP pollster. So he wants the Republicans to win. He's a pollster for the Republicans. Here's how he described this latest poll. Republicans have had a series of weak surveys, he said, but this is beyond weak. How is that for an excellent description of the Republican Party as it stands today? Beyond weak. So, there you have it, folks. Cross your fingers, impending disaster for the Republicans in about 45 days. So, look at that. It's a giant wave about to crash on your head. You better run that way, son. Let's see if the Republicans ever learn a lesson.